This is Joe Kent, senior contributor for Sports Ed TV Strength and Conditioning, and we are here with our 2025 Arnold Strongman Classic recap. For the second year in a row, I've been honored and privileged to represent Sports Ed TV covering the Arnold Strongman Classic, and this one did not disappoint. Extremely talented group of men and women attacked the strongman stage over 2 days, 6 total events, 3 events each day, some extremely heavy, some technical, and some you needed a little bit of conditioning. Let's get it started with our winners. For the third consecutive year, Mitch Hooper won the Arnold Strongman Classic. Mitch is 3 for 3 and joins Hafthor Julius Bjornsson and the Big Z, Žydrūnas Savickas, as the only 3-time consecutive winners. Big Z has actually won 6 in a row, and Brian Shaw joins them with 3 event wins in this competition. Inez Carrasquillo was the champ on the women's side. Inez dominated this event, and she's coming off a Grand Slam win at the Rogue Invitational in November, so she's off to a great start in 2025. The crowd was electric. The stands were packed. People were cheering. It really brought excitement to the athletes as they entered the stage to compete in front of all the strongman aficionados that were out in attendance over the 2-day period. Now for the recap of the 6 events. Day 1 started with one of the more popular and tradition-rich strongman classic events, the elephant bar deadlift. In the women's event, we had 11 women out of 12 deadlift over 500 pounds. What's more incredible than that is 7 of the 12 deadlifted over 600 pounds. And the final 2 competitors, Andrea Thompson and Lucy Underwood, both set new world records. Andrea hit 671 pounds, and then Lucy came back and topped her for 676 for the new record. In the men's division, all the talk was who would be able to pull 501 kilograms. There was a $101,000 bounty put on it by Rogue, and Hafthor Julius Bjornsson was the person who was favored to do this. It wasn't that day. It wasn't going to fall. Tough competition. I believe Hafthor would have had a legitimate attempt at it if the rest periods between his attempt 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 would have been a little bit more favorable for him. But he almost had a 30-minute wait between his first attempt and his second attempt. He did win the event with a 10:26, made the jump to the 5:01, and it just wasn't going to happen today. I thought, based off of training tape, he would eclipse this. I do still think someone will pull over 500 kilograms this year. So we had Lucy Underwood, winner of event 1 on the women's side, Hafthor Julius Bjornsson, winner of event 1 on the men's side. The second event of the day was the overhead gauntlet. This was a unique overhead press medley where the athletes had to do a 1-arm circus dumbbell followed by a natural stone overhead press, and then they had a heavy log or a light log to choose from, with the heavier log trumping in points, the lighter log for reps. So for example, if the athlete made it through the circus dumbbell and the natural stone, if they took the lighter log, they would only get 1 point per rep, where if they took the heavier log, they would get 10 points per rep. In the women's side of things, there was a 3-way tie for first, so they had to go to the stopwatch, which meant Angelica Jardine wound up beating Olga and Andrea Thompson. On the men's side, 2-way tie between Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell, had to go to the clock. Lucas Hatton came out on top. Next was the timber carry. This is a huge wooden frame that's run up a angled ramp and then lands on a flat platform. This is one of the traditional events of the Arnold also. This generally is an event where grip comes into play. You'll see a lot of athletes drop and have to repick, and that's extremely tough to do. On the women's side, I thought the most impressive event of the day came from Rebecca Roberts. Rebecca went early in the round and she went 8.52 seconds. That would have placed her second in the event behind Inez, but for some reason they discounted her time. She had to go out and retake this rep. That's extremely hard for an athlete to do. I thought she held her composure great, and not only did she hold her composure great, she went out and bested her time by a second and wound up being the winner of the event. In this event, I was surprised Mitch had a drop, but Mitch finished first with about a 10-second run. So very impressive there by these two athletes. At the end of day one, the women's results stood as Andrea Thompson first, Olga Lashuk second, Inez was in third. On the men's side, Mitchell Hooper was first, Lucas Hatton second, Hafthor Julius Bjornsson was in third. On the day two, we started out with the big jerk. This was a overhead movement done from jerk stand, so the athlete was not required to clean it from the ground to the chest. They were able to take it out off the stands and do either a push press, front or behind the head, or a push jerk or a split jerk. Tremendous lifting and tremendous overhead power was displayed by many. Numerous 500-pound jerks on the men's side, and 6 athletes on the women's side went 297 or higher. The winner of the women's was Inez. She smoked 150 for the win, came back out and destroyed 160, 352 pounds to take the event win. On the men's side, it was a really great battle, but there was no doubt, regardless of the weight needed to win, Lucas Hatton was going to win this event, and that he did by jerking behind the head split jerk 247 kilograms to oust Mitch Hooper by 5 kilograms in the event. But again, numerous people over 500 on the men's side, 6 athletes over 297 on the women's side. Extremely impressed by the overhead power of these athletes. On the 5th event, second event of day 2, was a timber trial, which is a typical version of a carry and drag. So you're going to take a apparatus, in this case it was logs, and you had to run it down the course, dump it into the sled. 2 of those logs were run down into the sled, and then it was a backward sled drag through the finish. Generally, the larger athletes are going to have an advantage, and that stood out in this event as Jessica Roberts won the women's side and Hafthor Julius Bjornsson won the men's side. On the final event of the day was an Atlas stone to shoulder. Again, lightweight trumped heavyweight, similar to the log. The women had the choice of a 253-pound stone for 1 point, 297-pound stone for 10. The men had a 350 stone for 1 and a 400 for 10. Big winner on the men's side, Austin Andrade, 4 reps stone to shoulder. And we had a tie between Olga and Angelica at 2 stones at 300 for the women. Now remember, these athletes got to pick the stone up, lap it, get it up into their chest, tremendous thoracic extension, balance the bar on their shoulder. They can use both hands. Then they have to remove the offhand, show balance, and now they have to guide the bar back to the crash pad for the rep to count. So extreme test of strength, a very cool way to end the event. When it all was tallied up, the men's side stayed the same. Mitch Hooper was your champ, followed by Lucas Hatton and Hafthor Julius Bjornsson. The women's side did have a little shakeup, where we had Inez coming out as the champ, Olga second, and Angelica Jardine, 2024 champ, on the podium. Now, and before we say see you next year, here is my hot strongman take of 2025. You heard it here, maybe not first, but you heard it here. Here's what I believe is going to happen in 2025 on the men's side. Mitch Hooper, who is on a phenomenal tear, I believe now he's 24 podiums straight, captured another what I call Grand Slam event. I believe Mitch Hooper in 2025 will win the calendar Grand Slam, which I consider the Arnold Strongman Classic, the World's Strongest Man, the Strongest Man on Earth, and the Rogue Invitational. When Mitch does this, he will contemplate what his next steps are in his athletic career. Mitch is very, very calculated, extremely smart. I watch a lot of his videos. I watch a lot of his collaborations and I listen to what he says. I'm not telling you he will retire from strongman, but I wouldn't doubt if he took a step away and challenged himself in something like the CrossFit Games, some type of high rocks event, or even possibly a triathlon. Mitch is physically capable of doing and excelling in anything he chooses. The guy's grit and determination is so superior to most of the athletes I dealt with. I believe anything he puts his mind to, he will accomplish. That's my hot take going into the rest of the 2025 Strongman competitive calendar.